Today I want to show you how you can choose a healthy man. And I mean healthy in every regard. Emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, and mentally healthy. In other words, today I want to show you how you choose the right guy, and I also want to show you, as a part of that, how to avoid toxic men. Because unfortunately, I have to admit something. And what I have to admit is that a lot of my coaching clients, before they start working with me, have either been in toxic relationships, and some of them still were in toxic relationships when they started working with me, and I helped them to get out of these relationships and to attract men who are truly good for them. And if you now think about working with me, if you are currently trapped in a relationship that's no longer fulfilling or that's even toxic, or in the worst case, if you are in a relationship that is truly toxic and you want to find a way out, and you can't even think of being in a relationship that's not toxic, then you really need to start working on yourself, and you might also want to be interested in working with me. And if you want to find out more about the coaching sessions I offer, you can go to gethimkeephim.com/coaching. And what you should be doing, no matter if you decide to work with me or not, is to be on the lookout for rude behavior early on. So many of the women who I've coached, who've been in relationships with abusive narcissists, had to admit that in the beginning there were red flags. They just ignored them. And they ignored them because the red flags didn't really concern them personally. So in other words, when it comes to the narcissist, for example, there's often a lot of love bombing in the beginning of the relationship. He tells you you're so special, so beautiful, the most beautiful woman in the world, and he loves you with all his heart. But then, in the same minute or the same hour, he treats somebody else disrespectful. He is rude to the waitress when the food arrives a little bit late. Or somebody behaves a little bit stupid in traffic, and he immediately goes through the roof and goes, "Whoa, this freaking idiot." The signs were there. Not always, but I would say from my experience as a coach, and I've coached a lot of women who've been in narcissistic relationships and who've got out of these relationships. And I've helped a lot of women to date again, to trust men again, and to fall in love with men again after such a relationship. And most of them told me that the signs were there. So if you want to choose a healthy man, look out for these signs early on and communicate your boundaries early on. You don't want to do something that you're not ready to do yet. No matter how many times he tells you, just take this piece of clothing off. You don't have to worry. Yeah, I want a relationship with you, but hey, I would love to sleep with you tonight. If he's serious about you, if he's a healthy man, he's willing to wait. If he also wants a monogamous relationship in the same way as you want it. And of course, if you don't want a relationship and you just want a hookup, then have fun. I'm not here to tell you shouldn't do that. I just know from my experience as a dating coach that I would say 99.99% of the women who I've coached want to find a man for a relationship. In fact, I've never had a woman who booked a coaching session with me and who asked me, "Hey Sebastian, how can I get laid?" Let's face it, if you're looking for a hookup, you can find hundreds of thousands of men on Tinder who are happy to do that. They are happy to, in other words, provide that service. But when it comes to finding a really good man, a man who has moral values, a man who's a high status man, a man who's looking for a relationship with you, that's a lot harder to find. And that's why it's important that you communicate your boundaries early on. Otherwise, you end up in a situation that so many of my coaching clients ended up in before they started working with me, when they were sleeping with a guy too fast, and then they complained that the guy didn't text them anymore. If you want to be sure that he's serious about you, make him wait at least a couple of dates. I wouldn't go as extreme as Steve Harvey says it, and you should wait I don't know how long, 3 months or 9 months or I don't know how long, but a couple of dates is a good idea. And ask him about the trauma he experienced in the past, and find out if he's on a journey of healing or if he already went through an emotional healing process. This is so important. I do not say that you should stay away from traumatized men. However, what I do say is that you should stay away from traumatized men who are still expressing their trauma with all kinds of negative behavior and negative emotions, and they are unwilling to work on themselves, and they are unwilling to heal that trauma. And yes, I know what I'm talking about. I've experienced some trauma in my life. I was born with a congenital heart defect. I had several heart surgeries. My twin brother died during birth. I had years of self-hate, of putting myself down, and of also expressing my trauma in an unhealthy way. And when I look back now at my early 20s, and I'm now in my early 30s, or almost mid-30s, you can say, but when I look back at my early 20s, was I a good partner in relationships? Hell no. Hell no. If I could turn back time, I would do a lot of things differently. But that's what it means to be a human being. You grow, you develop, you learn, and you then reflect. However, if he's not willing to go there, and he's not willing to ever work on his trauma, even though you know that he has experienced trauma in his past, then he will never be able, or at least not while he's with you, be able to open his heart, to truly love and to express his emotions. But if he's willing to go there, if he's willing to heal your trauma, then you can be the supportive girlfriend who helps him to reach the next level. And do not accept any form of emotional, verbal, or physical abuse. Ever. Don't accept it. No matter if he's been traumatized and he's still acting from that traumatic child self, basically. No matter if that happened to him or if he's a full-blown narcissist, no matter what. If he hits you, you are out. If he verbally abuses you, you are out. If he emotionally abuses you, you are out. You have to choose a healthy man, and a healthy man will not abuse you. A healthy man will not scream at you like crazy. A healthy man will not throw things at you. A healthy man will not, God forbid, hit you. Always remember that. And unfortunately, I've had coaching clients who've made all kinds of excuses for their ex-boyfriends or their boyfriends with, he isn't always like that. I triggered him in some way. No. There's no excuse for a man to hit a woman. There's no excuse for him to uncontrollably scream at you when he's an adult, and he should have the emotional intelligence to calm himself down, to regulate his emotional state, and to have a constructive, normal conversation with you, even though it might be a disagreement. Always remember that. And then ask yourself, is he able to open his heart and to share his emotions with you? And this goes hand in hand with what I just shared with you when it comes to his trauma healing journey. If he's not willing to go there, and if he's always avoiding accessing his emotions, and he's too afraid to go there because he's still acting from that place of the traumatized child, then you have to ask yourself, do I really want to start a life with this man? Do I want to establish a relationship with this man who's not willing to heal? And when it comes to emotionally healthy men, they also, at least usually, have emotionally healthy friends. And there's this saying that we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out with the most. And to be honest, it's kind of true. When I think back to the time when I was living in this self-destructive cycle of trauma, I had a completely different social circle than I have now. I still every now and then see old friends who are sometimes still trapped in this mindset, in this limiting belief. However, I limit the time I spend with them. Nowadays, I surround myself with successful friends, with friends who want to create amazing lives for themselves or who are already in the process of creating these lives for themselves. So if you're dating a man and he introduces you to his friends, and all of his friends, and I'm using now an extreme example just to illustrate the point, all of his friends are always getting drunk, doing drugs, have no goals, no ambition, and they are just playing video games all day long, and he's hanging out with them all the time, then you can confidently assume that he's number 5 or number 6 of this social circle who acts in the exact same way. So observe his friends, and if his friends are goal-oriented, if they are ambitious, if they are fun to be around, if they are emotionally healthy, that's already a very good sign. And of course, when you then find such a man who you want to have a relationship with, and he is a high-value man who has a lot of options, then you want to make him so devoted to you that he doesn't even look at other women, that other women don't exist for him. And that's something that you can learn. And you can learn it by going to gethimkeephim.com/devoted, and you can then watch this explainer video till the very end, find out more about the devotion sequence, and then you have the opportunity to invest in the devotion system, which is, in my humble opinion, the best dating product for every woman who wants to make her man devoted to her. And you can also, alternatively, if you prefer reading about this method and also about this incredible product, you can also go to gethimkeephim.com/system or click on the second link in the description. It's totally up to you if you watch the explainer video or if you choose to read about it. And now ask yourself, or let's better say ask him, how is the relationship with your parents? And if he has a very bad relationship with his parents, because maybe, just maybe, he's been abused in the past, maybe he grew up in a narcissistic household. That's okay. Don't immediately disqualify him. But again, does he work on his trauma healing? Did he overcome these emotions? Is he still full of resentment, or has he already forgiven? For example, let's say he's had a very abusive childhood because his mother was a narcissist, and that's why he, for a very long time, had this belief that all women are terrible, which sometimes happens naturally when we made these experiences in our childhood. However, has he reached a point where he was able to look at the past with forgiveness? Was he able to realize emotionally and also spiritually and intellectually that not all women are like his mother who abused him? Then you can give him a chance. If he comes now from this place of forgiveness and love, that means he has grown as a human being, and he can be the man who makes you very, very happy. But what if he still has this resentment towards women just because something in the past has happened to him? Then you should be very careful when it comes to starting a relationship with him. And what about the vision for his future? Does he have the vision of a future that's in alignment with your values and that sounds emotionally healthy? I mean, think about it. If you are starting to date a guy and you ask him, what's your vision for the future? And you, for example, want to start a family. And he says, yeah, I want to live a very, very chilled life. I just want to work about 3 hours a day, and I don't really care about how much money I make, and I don't want a house, I don't want a car, I don't want any of that. I just want to, I just want to live in a hut at the beach. And again, that's an extreme example. But then you might come to the conclusion, even though that sounds very adventurous, well, that's not really in alignment with my values, unless you want your children to grow up in a dirty hut, which I don't believe you want to. So I just wanted to use this extreme example to illustrate this point. It's important that his vision for the future is in alignment with your values and that it also sounds emotionally healthy. I mean, if he, for example, gives you this answer, like I seen once in the news report, where an interviewer asked the guy who was just filling out a lottery ticket, what would you do if you won the lottery? And he just said in the camera, cocaine and hookers, a lot of cocaine and hookers. And of course the reporter thought like, yeah, okay, what a joke. But then he said, no, I'm serious. Again, it's an extreme example, but if his values and his vision for the future are not in alignment at all with what you want, then he's not the kind of guy who you want to date. At least I hope so. And at least I also hope that you now know how you can choose a healthy man and avoid toxic men. And again, I want to briefly mention it. If you want to find out more about the devotion system, which I believe every woman who wants to make her man devoted to her should invest in, you can go to gethimkeephim.com/devoted, or you can go to gethimkeephim.com/system, or you can simply click on the first or the second link in the description to find out more about it. And if you enjoyed watching this video, if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. Share your opinion, share your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. And I would love it even more if you would hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you get notified whenever I release a new video for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video.